Yo, what's going on, guys? What's up? Good afternoon. Fed Chair Powell speaking today. What's going on? What is he going to say? Quick super chat here from Big Kev, starting the stream off the right way. He says, good afternoon. I hope you're feeling better today. Thanks for being there to help even when you feel bad. FYI, Pico is a bargain today. I've been scooping every dip. Let's go. Nice. I see that as a win, brother. I see that as a win. Let's get into the chat a little bit, see what everybody's talking about today. Oh, how says, afternoon, Rob. Let's keep this train rolling. Got that base stuff taken care of. Nice, nice, nice. Move that off instantly. Good. The community was very supportive and worth that cup of coffee. Absolutely, brother. That's what we do. That's why being a part of the Patreon is such a big deal, guys, is that you have the help, not only from me, but from an entire community of people to help teach you how to do this properly. Danny, what's up, my guy? Good to see you, brother. It's me, Mario. Ladies and gentlemen, Senior Rob and the Crypto Future family. Let's get it. What's up, big dog? Nicholas in the house. My dude, my brother from another mother. It's Powell time. Absolutely. Bless you, Rob. Do you think alt season is canceled if we don't get a blow off top? Or, well, I'm going to give you another scenario. If you're not over on the Patreon, I am laying out all of the, I'm making a series of videos for everybody in our Patreon community, laying out all of the potential scenarios of how 2026 can play out and how you should be responding to it accordingly. So if you're not over there, you're missing out on all of it, man. But yes, I will get into the whole Bitcoin dominance situation momentarily, so bear with me on that. I am Jasmine. We're all Jasmine. Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Ben, what's up, buddy? Praying for you to feel better soon, brother. Thank you so much. Get rest while she ranges. Yes, absolutely. Been trying to get a little bit of rest. Absolutely. Guys, hit the like and subscribe. We have 101 people watching right now. We have 33 likes. Let's get those likes up, guys. Let's get to 100 likes first off. Let's hit it. J Money, first Pokemon of the day. Bulbasaur in the house. What's up, man? Braveheart says, Andy for Fed Chair, 25 basis points equals rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, baby. I am hoping that Rob is feeling better. Thank you so much. I'm feeling like a bag of smashed cats right now, but I'm still here, guys. Thanks for the generosity, Kevin. Yes, absolutely. Overcome in the house. Alfredo, what's going on, my guy? Strawberry Dragons, Papa Powell, pump it up. Kind of feels like maybe, what are we at, 92.9 still? Market's not really doing anything based on what Powell's saying. Dave, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, man. Hey, Zeus Garcia, crypto is not behaving like any YouTuber expected. Sorry, Rob, but the naysayers were right. All the previous cycle metrics went out the window. Actually, Jesus, you're absolutely and emphatically incorrect. If $126,000 was the top for Bitcoin, it actually hit exactly when it was supposed to for the 4-year cycle. So you are 100% incorrect in that assessment, my friend, respectfully. What's up, brother Rob? Chocolat. What's going on, Derek? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. All right, we're caught up in the chat. Let's keep it rolling, keep it going. Big things popping, little things stopping. Let's get into the news, guys. We are caught up in the chat. wanted to show you guys quickly. Hang on. Wanted to go over and have a look at some charts because people are asking me about things like Bitcoin dominance. So let's go have a looky-loo. Let's have a breakdown. I have an argument, a possible scenario where we could still see an altcoin season, okay? And I'm going to show you why. We talked about this last night in the Patreon live stream. If you're not there, again, what the hell are you doing with your life, man? You're missing out on all the important information. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, okay? Now, this is going to be my argument. Let's go to the weekly time frame just to make it easier to kind of track here, okay? So I'm going to make an argument right now for an altcoin season, okay? Or a possibility of it, okay? Now, in no way am I promising you an altcoin season. I'm laying out a scenario in which there's still a possibility for an altcoin season. So bear with me, okay? So here we have on Bitcoin dominance, we have a head and shoulders pattern, which is going to break us down, right? Now, to clarify things before I go any further, a lot of people mistake the idea that Bitcoin dominance dropping means that Bitcoin's price is dropping. That's not true, okay? And I'm going to prove it to you, and I'm going to show you, okay? Bitcoin dominance, all that it means is that when it's up, Bitcoin's price is outperforming the altcoins. And when Bitcoin dominance is crashing, altcoin prices are outperforming Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin's crashing. It means that altcoin prices are appreciating faster than Bitcoin's price, okay? So that's all that means. Don't confuse Bitcoin dominance falling with Bitcoin's price falling. They do not mean the same thing, okay? Now, again, as we see the head and shoulders pattern on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, likely bringing us down to around that 51.79, 51.8% level. We are looking at a bear flag, which just further confirms the breakdown of Bitcoin dominance here, as you can see, right, on the head and shoulders, on the larger head and shoulders pattern. So what did we see? When was the last time that Bitcoin dominance crashed? Well, that would be right back here, right? This was April, or sorry, not April. This was January, and it started crashing in January, and it bottomed out in May. Okay, so that's January, February, March, April, May. That was the last altcoin season. Okay, January to May of the last cycle. Okay, we're in December right now. All right, and what are we seeing? We're seeing Bitcoin dominance getting ready to break down, right? As we move closer and closer to where? January, right? So I'll go further. So what happened from January until May on Bitcoin's price? Let's go have a look. All right, what did we have? January to May. Let's go back in time. That's right here. This is the weekly time frame. So right here, this is January, right? Now, keep in mind, this is the weekly time frame, not the daily, guys. If we go down to the daily, it looks far more impressive. I know it doesn't look impressive right now, but see, if we go to the daily, where are we? Right here. So here we are in the daily time frame. Oh, that's October. Right here. So January, what happened? Bitcoin's price continued up. Bitcoin had a pump, right? At the same time that Bitcoin dominance was crashing between January and May. And where did Bitcoin top on this leg? It was in April, right? Just before May, right? Month before May. So from January to April, Bitcoin rallied. Okay, it didn't crash. Now, why is this relevant? Well, as we see Bitcoin dominance getting ready to crash, what do we see on Bitcoin right here? We see Bitcoin getting ready to put in a right shoulder before coming back down. Well, what would that be? That would be a rally. So are we about to see a rally in Bitcoin, right? As we saw Bitcoin dominance crashing again last cycle, Bitcoin's price rallying at the exact same time. What do we see right now? We see Bitcoin dominance getting ready to crash. We see Bitcoin getting in a structure, getting ready to rally to put in a right shoulder. Now, how does this affect altcoins? You're sitting there saying, right? Well, let's go look at the altcoins. So at the same time, the total 2, what was the total 2 doing? Let's have a look. Let's go back in time. Total 2, by the way, is the altcoin market cap, right? Here we are at the same time, January. Look at this rally in the altcoins in the total 2. And where does it peak right here? In May, right? January to May, once again, right? We saw the altcoins. That was the altcoin season rally right there. So, again, the possibility is there that we see not only Bitcoin rally from January until April or May, putting in that right shoulder, but we could see that altcoin season, like we saw in the last cycle, at the exact same time between January and May. So, food for thought. So there's my argument. There is my argument. Topsy, why are we not watching the FOMC meeting? Because Powell just keeps saying the same thing. If you think Powell's going to say something like, yes, we're going to cut rates again next month, you're fooling yourself. Every month we've watched on this channel, we've watched the FOMC meeting, and every month it has been boring and absolute nothing burger. I'd rather just get all the important clips together and play them in tonight's live stream, because as you can see, the market is not even responding at all to what Powell is saying. 92,700, 92,800. We're not even seeing any price action. So it's a nothing burger, right? So yeah. So that is my argument, guys, that we could still see an altcoin season here from January until April or May. It's not off the books. It's not impossible to happen. So, yeah. Let's get back into the chat a little bit here. Ray, what's happening, brother? What's happening? Kevin says, do you track the PMI chart? Seen a video that had a compelling argument that Bitcoin has been following the PMI when PMI gets over 60 thoughts. I'd have to go look at the chart. Jesus, I see you're having a hard time. I see you're having a hard time because I told you that you were wrong and that the 4-year cycle is not broken. I understand not everybody likes being wrong. I'm wrong from time to time. However, if 126 was the top, as I said before, you're trying to make an argument that I was wrong about the 4-year cycle while in the same breath telling me that $126,000 was the top. That means the 4-year cycle happened exactly on time, right? I'm sorry you're having a hard time digesting that, but I'm not going to argue with you about it, right? I answered the pump on the poll. Everybody is expecting a dump. Maybe we shall see. Let's check what the poll is at. 56% of you guys think that we're going to see a dump coming out of the FOMC meeting. I tend to agree with that. It's very close though, 44 to 56. But I tend to think that we will probably see a dump. I said it yesterday that I figured we were probably going to have a bit of a dump, right? Because what's happening, man? Crypto J505. No, not really. I just took some ibuprofen and it'll last until I'm done here. Dave, what's up, man? Let's freaking go, baby. DH, Powell says something dovish. You'll see it on the charts anyway. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If Powell says something good, if he says something good, you'll see it in the chart. If he says something bad, you'll see it in the chart, right? And so far, it's nothing. It's a complete nothing burger, right? Paul, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Any update from Colin Talks Crypto? Yes, I actually do have a little bit from Colin Talks Crypto that we're going to get into. Absolutely. Topsy says, pump. Let's go. Thank you for an all drop. Hey, no problem, man. No problem. I got you covered. I got you covered. Hey, Rob, if BTC ends up following the head and shoulders pattern and falls to the 200 moving average, how long do you think it would be in a bear? Not long. No, not 4 years. No, not even close. Not even a year. I thought we were getting a new Fed chair. We don't get a new Fed chair till May. Until May. Good day to have a good day. Yes, exactly, O-House. Exactly, brother. Gain, what's happening, man? If he says anything hawkish, will altcoins go zombie mode? I don't think so. I think that, like I said, we're about to see Bitcoin dominance take a tumble, but on a weekly time frame, though, right? So I think that the scenario I just laid out for you guys, like I said, is a scenario that's going to play out between April and May, right? So there's some time to spare here. Fridge, it was a quarter part, just like everybody thought. Yeah, quarter point. Yeah, nothing new. Is the A live tonight, Rob? Thank you, brother. I don't understand what you're asking me, brother. I think you might have had a typo there. Not alt season till May then. Well, no, not until May. It would top in May. It would run up. Theoretically, in the scenario I played out, it would run from January till May. Alts would be running the whole time, right? Honest question, is Tom Leash nuts? Eevee's my son's favorite Pokemon, by the way. Isn't he saying, like, yeah, by the end of January? He might be a little cuckoo for cocoa nuts. Why cut rates and be hawkish? Makes no sense. It's manipulation. Yeah, he doesn't want to pump markets, right? That's what he says. So 4-year cycles based on Bitcoin top, not when altcoins go nuts, correct? I mean, the 4-year cycle has always been based on Bitcoin, not the altcoins. So it's more Powell sentiment than the cut. Yes, absolutely. Hey, brother Rob, is there a Patreon live tonight? Yeah, at 6 p.m. There is one at 6 p.m. Yeah. We won't have alt season until we get new Fed chair. I mean, yeah, that's a good argument. EV's my favorite too. Your son has good taste. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He even wears his winter hat as an EV. So yeah, absolutely. If 126K was the top, then the 4-year cycle isn't broken. So why would the bear market be shorter? It should still last about a year. Yeah, but in that argument, altcoins have already been in a bear market for about a year, right? Altcoins are still, but that, again, if the 4-year cycle is still intact, if 126K was the top, like we said, well, then alts should run in the scenario I just played out from January till April or May. So we've yet to have the altcoin season yet, right? It's still ahead of us if the 4-year cycle plays out that way still, right? So has leverage trading slowed down due to the beginning being taken out? I wouldn't say so, no. Let me go look at the liquidation levels. I don't think so. I was looking at the heat maps this morning, and they were also a lot of leverage in the system still as we look, right? Daily time frame, we've still got 1.21 billion on the long side and 1.5 billion on the short side. Going to the weekly, a lot of leverage still in the system. Going to the monthly, oh yeah, there's leverage. There's a lot of leverage out there. Another local, what's going on? Looking forward to scenario 3 video in the Patreon. Thanks for all your hard work you do for us. Hey, absolutely. D-Gens never learn. Exactly. Traditionally speaking, for it to be the top, there has to be euphoria. I don't think. No, I agree. I mean, an argument can be made for a little bit of euphoria, but yeah, I agree. In general, in principle, Gain, you're right. Any new gems, Rob? I will be making a new gem list over on the Patreon. Yes, I already have a couple in mind, but I want to see how things play out a little bit further. So, yeah, guys, if you want to get in early on a new list of gems, You're going to want, guys, 50% off right now. It's the one time a year. The one time a year we do a promotion for the Patreon, 50% off. So get over there and lock it in now, guys, because otherwise you're stuck until next year, right? Passenger, you think Zebek going to release the super app? I wish it was this month, but I don't know. It's Christmas. I mean, really, there's 3 weeks left of the month, but really there's only about maybe 2, right? Because how much time are people taking off for the holidays and stuff like that? So I would probably look for January. I'm optimistic with the alt season possibility because so many are thinking the opposite. Yes, exactly. Debt cycle is delayed. So is the 4-year cycle. There's so many different things that are based on the 4-year cycle, though, not just Bitcoin. I mean, the election cycle, like just everything, right? Like a production value of the deep dive videos. Thank you. Yes, my editor is, that's the first video. The videos will get better and better and better as we go. But we wanted to bring up the quality as well. We're doing a lot of big things moving forward with the channel, guys. I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised. We're getting a studio set up. Like, things are going to be very, very different. I'm going to have someone helping me, feeding me the information as we do the live streams and stuff. You'll be able to hear them as well. So things are definitely stepping up on the channel. Zcash done well, but far from all-time highs. So technically it wasn't. Yes, exactly. I agree. So Rob, with these scenario videos, you saying one of these scenarios will more likely happen? Yes, I am. Sounds dope. Yeah, QE is also a massive reason why alt. Yes, absolutely correct. No, the podcast, Jesse's, mine and Jesse's podcast, actually, just so you guys know, Jesse and I will be releasing a new podcast 3 days a week minimum, starting January. It's going to be talking about crypto, but not just crypto. We're going to be talking about like pretty much everything going on, right? So it is the podcast launch will be the latest addition to the crypto future universe. Absolutely. So if the head and shoulders pattern holds, how long do you think Bitcoin will be in a bear market? Well, I mean, usually after we form the right shoulder and we come down to the 200-week moving average, usually we spend about 7 to 10 weeks below the 200-week moving average before we start to work our way back up over top of it. So it depends on how fast we go down to it, right? If the Fed stops QT, does that automatically? No, it does not. Crypto Archie was saying that we barely hit altcoin season twice. He believes we had a crappy, and he's not far from being wrong. He's not wrong, right? Unless the scenario I laid out for you guys plays out from January until April or May, right? Then you could argue we could still have that altcoin season. So make sure it's on Apple Podcasts, please. Absolutely. It's going to be across every single platform possible. Kizza, hey, that podcast was my idea. Yeah, probably. I think it was, Kizza. But you mentioned that like 3 or 4 months ago, and then Jesse and I got together and we decided, you know what, we're going to do it. But it's like listen, we're going to be talking crypto, obviously, on there, but it's going to be covering like all the important topics globally, right? Like everything that's going on. We're not just going to revolve around crypto when it comes to that. Why is Trump picking the motherland, England? He wants his social media access before. Where's my royalties? You can be the first guest on the show, Kizza. I'm not freaking out because of you. Thank you. Hey, Strawberry Dragon, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. By the way, Rob, when do you think you'll update your exit price? Probably not till I see where everything bottoms out. I mean, going to the USA. You should call it Diamond Hands. Fair enough. All right, let's get into the news, guys. We're caught up in the chat. Let's see what's going on out there in the space, shall we? A little bit of a Paul Barron Network clip. So this woman, what is her name? Lynn Alden says the 4-year cycle is dead.
So are you in the camp of 4-year cycle still on cue, no real change in how these cycles have gone in the past, or do you think that has shifted some?
My base case is the 4-year cycle is no longer really relevant. It arguably hasn't been relevant for the past cycle either. Early on, whenever the supply halving happened, that was a very big change to Bitcoin's kind of new supply coming out. Whereas now, the annual supply inflation rate is well under 1%. It's a lower supply growth than gold, as on a percentage basis. And so I don't really view that as like the main driver anymore. I think there's potentially some selling around the psychology of the 4-year cycle.
Is this a time to DCA? Bitcoin trading literally as we recorded around 90K. Is this a DCA time for Bitcoin?
I think so, and almost by definition, if someone's dollar cost averaging, it's always the right time. That's the kind of point, is you're not really trying to time the market. I think it's more of a question of, is it time to accelerate the DCA a little bit? Generally speaking, when the sentiment comes off, we've seen the Bitcoin Treasury MNAVs disappear. We've seen some of the metrics I look at, like market value compared to on-chain cost bases, that is compressed quite significantly. Makes it a lot more attractive. Overall enthusiasm is elsewhere. It's on AI, it's on gold. Public sentiment around Bitcoin is pretty low. I generally think this is the time to lean into it now. But I think as a larger slice of a portfolio, I think it makes sense to buy the fear rather than kind of buy the enthusiasm.
I was not expecting that voice out of that person. Let's continue on, though. Let's continue on. Is it a good time to DCA, guys? That's the point. It's always a good time, not financial advice, but it's always a good time to DCA. And the reason for that is because that's the point of DCA, right? That's the whole point, is to not time things, but to try and just dollar cost average. I'm out of emotions until the pump, yes. Alt season's going to play out. Yes, actually, you know what? Let's look at the... another chart that shows us why altcoins are about to run, right? Is this here. Check this out, guys. One more chart. Passenger's correct here. Another chart that shows us that we're about to see alts have a bit of a run here is the ETH BTC chart. Is just breaking out of a massive bull flag here, guys, which should get us above the 200-week moving average. So yeah, like that's a nice clean break we're looking at. And just so you know, we're actually breaking out of it. If I zoom in, we're breaking out right now on it, right? So one more base case for why we could still see an altcoin season here. So a lot of charts are showing us that, man. Ditto. What's happening, man? Appreciate the knowledge and calmness to keep us sane in this crazy market. Amen to that. You're so trying. Yes, I am. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Let's keep rolling. What else do we have? What else do we have? Does Santa rally take profits at Xmas? Maybe. All right, so we got another clip here from Vabex Crypto Money. Little bit of a Zebek Stripe update.
If Stripe actually partners with Zebek, we are looking at one of the biggest payment revolutions since Visa went online. And the crazy part? The rails are already pointing straight at it. Picture this: money turning into a live stream. Not monthly paychecks, not weekly payouts, but cash flowing to you every single second, like a Spotify song that never stops. That's exactly what Zebek does. Employers load stablecoins, and payroll streams out per second. And here's the wild part. Zebek and Stripe already share the same crypto backend, Zero Hash. It's like two massive highways connected underground. The toll booth just hasn't opened yet. Now imagine plugging Stripe's $1.4 trillion yearly volume into Zebek's real-time rails. Even if 0.1% flows through, that's like attaching a garden hose to a fire hydrant. The volume explodes through the system. And every transaction, every stream needs $ZBCN for fees, with a portion burned forever. ZBCN is sitting at a tiny $200 million market cap, but a Stripe-level tie-in is TradFi validation on steroids. Tokens with far less utility have hit 10 to 50 times off smaller catalysts.
Yep, I agree, guys. Gonna have to be paying attention to that. If you, man, remember all the haters that, like a year and a half ago when we started covering ZBEC, you remember them all calling it a scam and all that kind of stuff? Man, imagine being one of those people today, missed the boat on it, all because of social media, BS drama and stuff like that, right? Getting caught inside one of your YouTubers' social structures, ecosystems that told you it was a scam, and then you missed the opportunity because of that, right? Man, I would be frustrated. Here's a little bit of an update. Like I said, from Colin Talks Crypto, the ETH BTC giant bull flag breakout to the upside. Like I showed you guys over on my chart a few minutes ago, the early stages looking to be gearing up to make a big move upward. My guess is ETH will outpace Bitcoin during the coming month or two while we experience Bitcoin's relief rally. Yes, so Bitcoin will continue to rise. Altcoins will outpace Bitcoin though, right? So are you ready? McNerney, my dude, what's up, man? Really appreciate you fighting through all the negativity these past few months. I'm with you till the end, my friend. I hope you start feeling better. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you to all of the loyal community members, guys, for definitely sticking around and not bailing. I am in talks with my team, just so you guys know, for our Patreon members. We are looking at a way to reward our loyal members who are not downgrading or canceling or doing any of that stuff. The people who are hanging tough, sending super chats, supporting me, supporting the channel, supporting the Patreon. We're looking at implementing some sort of a special tier for those people where they get exclusive special content and rewards for being loyal and being supportive. So you're not going to want to miss that. Absolutely. Absolutely. The people who stayed loyal deserve some sort of a thank you, right? So, yeah, that's how we feel about it. What else do we have? Lark Davis has a chart up here as well. He's talking about the ETH BTC chart. Also, it's breaking the trend, guys. So not just me, but two other analysts are saying the exact same thing. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Good old Ace Ventura. Absolutely. All right. We're going to get into a segue over to Squawk Box. Let's have a look.
This is Megan Hsu. She is Chief Investment Strategist at Wilmington Trust, also a CNBC contributor. And thank you for coming in this morning, Elizabeth. Megan, sorry, Elizabeth Hsu. That's what's in my head. Megan, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about where you see things with the Fed meeting today. I know you're of the opinion that they should cut. And, this is a pretty difficult time for forecasting with what the Fed's going to do just because of the divisions on the Fed. Yesterday, we had former Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester here, and she laid out the case saying, look, inflation is still above target. Sure, we're worried about the jobs market, and that's kind of where the focus is at this point because that's been the biggest change. But there are some pretty hawkish people who will look at that and say, you got to worry about inflation first. What do you think that means for the markets from that perspective? If you have this, okay, we're not sure if we're going to get more cuts after today.
Yeah, when we do think you're going to get more cuts after today. And
what do you think, 3 more next year?
We think 3 more next year, which is pretty much in line with where the market is. And I think if you look at both sides of the Fed's mandate, we are, yes, still above target on inflation, but decelerating slowly, but getting there. And the underlying drivers of inflation, I just don't think are there outside of tariffs, which I think the Fed has generally acknowledged will be transitory and will pass through. Whereas on the labor market, we're still operating in a data fog. So the Fed cutting today, I think, makes sense. Yeah. We've got signs that there is weakness in the job market, especially in smaller firms. So kind of that 2-speed economy with large firms and small firms. And I think that weakness is worth hedging against.
Transitory inflation, you're very brave.
I know, to use that word, right?
So do you think that Powell he's going to give lip service to the hawkish cut language. I mean, he'll do that even though he doesn't know. But do you think he also agrees with you? It'll be 3 next year, but he's not going to show his hands right now.
Well, I think the Fed not showing their hands shows up in the dots, and then the commentary. I think the market will probably interpret it as hawkish. But I think anytime you get close to target on both sides of the dual mandate and you're getting closer to the neutral rate, which whatever you think the neutral rate is, we're getting closer. I think you have to recognize that the Fed's not going to give that forward guidance that we got so used to for so many years. So hawkish, neutral, what have you, I think it's meeting by meeting, and it depends on the data, which again, we just don't have great data right now. We're relying heavily on second-tier data until we get basically to the first of the year and get back into the normal cadence.
But you think the Fed is going to cut, and at the same time, you don't think the labor market is a disaster because you don't think the market is topped out here?
I don't think, well, I think the market topping out and the labor market are definitely related. I don't think the labor market's a disaster. I think the problem is that we do have reduced supply, which we've talked a lot about. So we're running closer to zero, if you will, in terms of that neutral run rate of of job creation, if you will. So there's less room for error. We're not talking about adding hundreds of thousands of new jobs every month. If the labor supply supports maybe 30,000 net new jobs, all it takes is a little bit of volatility on either side, and you're talking about negative payroll reports, which then spark recession fears again. But I think we are talking about we are optimistic for next year and looking at not a top in the market anytime soon, more volatility around tech names and non-tech names, but expecting the bull market to continue. And the first quarter could be a little bit of a digestion phase, if you will, maybe rebalancing, maybe some other global issues, whether it's interest rates or what have you, that sort of reset us. And then I think we move into a better, sort of healthier next leg of the bull market.
So apparently Powell said that he's projecting only one rate cut for 2026, but it did not crash the markets. Why did it not crash the markets? Probably because everyone knows that Powell is not going to be the Fed chair as of May. So nobody really cares what he has to say about 2026. He will be gone, right? So, yeah. Moving on here, what do we have? Jared says, fire that man. I'm here, fam. Push up. Let's go. Do those push-ups. 50 push-ups. Let's get it done. Crypto market pullback before the Federal Reserve rate meeting. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano prices experienced pullbacks ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting, where traders anticipate rate cuts impacting the cryptocurrency market. This event influences crypto market positioning and highlights the anticipation of rate cuts affecting liquidity and leverage ahead of the Federal Reserve's decision. The upcoming Federal Reserve meeting prompts a cryptocurrency market pullback. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano were primarily influenced by market positioning expectations. Traders anticipate rate cuts and adjust their leverage positions accordingly. This reflects broader economic concerns. The Federal Reserve, led by Jerome Powell, is central to market dynamics. With a data-dependent approach, the Fed's guidance will shape trader actions, leading to current repositioning in crypto assets ahead of potential rate changes. As Jerome Powell stated, quote, "We are not on a preset course. Our decisions will continue to be made meeting by meeting." The crypto market's immediate reaction, including the reduction of leverage positions, this risk management strategy aligns. It's just common sense, guys, that just before Jerome Powell speaks, you probably shouldn't be too heavy in leverage positions because you just don't know which direction the market's going to go based on what Powell has to say. Right now, it's been an absolute nothing burger. $92,700 was exactly where the price was an hour ago when we started this stream. It is still the same price. There was no volatility at all, really. Rob, if we're already in the Patreon, do we get 50%? No, it's for new members. 50% off if we buy a full year. No, it's for full members. But I think that there is a deal though. If you pay for the year, I think you do get a discount though, I believe. I love jokes about eyes. The corona, the better. The cornea, the better. I get it. That's how eyes roll. My guy, Candyman. I'm ready for a good pump into the new year. Let's get it. Can I get an amen to that? What else do we have? Michael Saylor making moves. Michael Saylor takes action on issue that could bring disaster to Bitcoin. Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, has given a strong response to the critical MSCI advisory process that could determine the fate of the companies holding Bitcoin as a strategic asset on their balance sheets. The company submitted its formal opinion against the MSCI's proposed plan to remove digital asset treasury companies from the global investable market indexes, arguing that the proposal is arbitrary, discriminatory, and policy-driven. I would agree with him 100%. It sounds like one last gasp by the Gary Genslers, the Maxine Waters, the Elizabeth Warrens of the world, right? It is estimated that there could be $8 billion asset outflows if strategy is delisted from indices. In a detailed letter to MSCI, strategy emphasized that digital asset treasuries are not mutual funds, but rather operate as operational companies. The company stated that digital asset treasuries are not passive Bitcoin funds. They actively use Bitcoin to create value for shareholders. Strategy also notes that it is currently developing innovative Bitcoin-backed digital lending products, similar to those historically offered by banks and insurance companies. Strategy argued that the MSCI's proposed rule of exclusion from the index of 50% of the balance sheets is comprised of digital assets. It is discriminatory practice specific to this sector. The company pointed out that the other companies concentrated in a single asset class, such as oil, gold, real estate, or media, do not receive such treatment. The letter also stated that the rule in question was practically unenforceable. Fluctuations in asset prices, different accounting rules, and internal reporting differences would cause digital asset treasuries to constantly enter and exit the index, leading to instability. Strategy stated that the MSCI's mission is to reflect financial markets impartially, but the proposal targets to specific asset types as incorporates policy elements into the index methodology. This, they argue, would undermine MSCI's role as an impartial index provider and create confusion for investors. So it's basically the same thing that the Democrats did with the SEC. They took something that was supposed to be a non-biased entity and used it as a weapon against the digital asset space. Strategy Chairman Michael Saylor also stated in his announcement that they oppose the MSCI's plan, saying Strategy has submitted its response to the MSCI's consultation regarding digital asset treasury companies. Index standards should be neutral, consistent, and reflect global market evolution. Saylor appealed to the community to read the letter and show their support. So yeah, this again, one last gasp by the left to attack the digital asset space. Personally, don't think it's really going to work. Carlos, yeah, they did. They cut 25 basis points. We got, as expected, we got a 25 basis point rate cut. So Morgan Stanley's Mike Wilson, the Fed has more room to cut next year than people think.
More in the market. So let's get to our next guest, Mike Wilson, Morgan Stanley, CIO and Chief U.S. Equity Strategist. You've come on and you always have some things that make me scratch my head or that I haven't thought. And one of the things you said not too long ago was that the labor market may have already bottomed, and that any economic slowdown you saw as kind of a rolling sector, one to the next slowdown, and that could be in the past too.
That's right. So, I mean, our call for quite a while has been we've been in a sort of rolling recession that the private economy has been, distorted from post-COVID with every sector kind of going through their own individual recession. So instead of having the one collapse as you typically get, it's been this sort of masked labor cycle. And what we noticed in April, we can go back and look at the data now, is that the rate of change on both payrolls and layoffs peaked or bottomed, depending on which one you're looking at, in April, right when the market bottomed. So, and this narrative that we've had for a while now is becoming a bit more popular. We like that other people are kind of adopting it to some degree because they're looking for a rationale or reason for why the market's done when it's done. And that is very important for next year because A, it means the Fed has more room to cut than probably people think, okay, or they can do things with the balance sheet. And secondly, you're going to get a rotation now into the parts of the market that have not performed that well. That's our call for 2026.
Why would the labor market not being weak give the Fed more opportunity?
Well, because they're going to realize that the data itself is very lagged. I'm not blaming the Fed. This is tricky. I mean, it's hard. In real time, the data has not been weak enough to justify cutting more. But when they actually look at the revisions now, and that's what we do, we look at the revisions, it's very clear that we had a significant labor cycle.
We already came out of it.
And we've come out of it, which is very good. And by the way, the best confirmation of this is that the earnings growth now for the median company in the S&P is actually growing again, close to 10%. That's the best growth we've seen in 4 years. So there's evidence.
But you are counting on the labor data still being lagged for why the Fed will cut rates. That they're not going to pay attention to the things you're watching right now.
That's right. Well, I think what they'll notice is that if you want a recovery in the private economy, which we all do, right? We don't want to just have this bifurcated economy. They'll realize that we do need rate cuts for the financial leverage part of the economy, whether it's housing, consumer goods, the lower end consumer. We need that. And so the risk in this strategy, of course, for the Fed to think about is, do we have an asset bubble then, right? Because if they cut into that good earnings cycle, do we get kind of an inflated stock market? Our view is yes.
Asset inflation, and people are still worried about big inflation. The overall term inflation, people are still, we're 3%.
Right.
The lagging numbers there, it would indicate what in your view, that it's not a problem, or it is a?
Well, I mean, it's sort of a feature. Okay, quite frankly, like in other words, and we said this last time, if we don't get inflation next year reaccelerating, then our call is going to be wrong. In other words, accelerating inflation is good for company earnings for the companies that have been lagging. But it's bad if the Fed is raising rates for the stock market. This time around, right, we have a Fed that's not going to be raising rates. I don't know how much they're going to cut next year, but it's unlikely they're raising rates, and they're probably going to add liquidity to the balance sheet at a time when accelerating inflation is driving better earnings growth. That's a very good setup for equities typically.
And you know what else Hassett was on yesterday, and he said the way administration handles the affordability issue is by wage gains. I think they've given prices that, energy prices can come down, food prices can come down, but in general, inflation doesn't come down unless you got serious overall problems in the economy. So how do you deal with affordability? Wage growth has to be faster than the inflation
and productivity.
That's right. And you think that's possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the policy change is trying to do, right? Is that
which policy? The BBB?
All of the fiscal policy. Let's think about this. So they're trying to reduce consumption, okay, increase investment through the big beautiful bill and through tariffs. That reconfiguration of how the economy grows should lead to better productivity. The big one that there's debate on, which I don't think is really that debatable, is immigration, right? So this, legal immigration, unfettered immigration has really suppressed real wage growth, to your point, for the middle income, for the lower income workers. And then if you think about AI suppressing wage growth, perhaps at the upper end, that's a nice rebalancing potentially on the real wage. Look, this is not it's not going to guarantee it's going to work, but I like that strategy as a way to rebalance the K economy.
It said BBB. That's Bed Bath & Beyond, our favorite. I meant BBB. Only
it was
three
our,
B's.
It was our favorite.
I know it's
Saturdays, a rainy Saturday.
You know what they say? We'll always have.
We'll always have Bed.
We'll always have Bed Bath. So that makes you think about the S&P next year with what type of numbers?
17% earnings growth.
Oh my God.
Think about that. 17% earnings growth.
So the PE stays the same.
The PE stays the same. It doesn't have to expand to get another 10 or 15%
what is
earnings growth.
What 6,900 times?
7,800, because you're going to price it off of 2027. Okay, so 2027 will grow another 10 to 12%, assuming we don't have a slowdown. The risk in this strategy, by the way, to be clear, is that inflation does come back to a point where the Fed has to react. Like, I don't care who the Fed chair is. Okay, people can make their stories about this one's more dovish.
Yeah, but inflation's here. Inflation's here. You cannot ignore.
They will respond. The question is, at what point do they feel like they have to then raise rates into that, and that will kill the bull market, just like it did in 2022.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. We're starting to see Bitcoin trying to climb, but not really, right? 92.8. Still kind of hovering, so still inside of a bear flag. But we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. For now, I got some coaching calls to do over on the Patreon, so make sure you get over there. Again, it is 50% off right now, guys. You cannot beat that deal. It's once a year we do it. The link is in the chat. It's in the pinned comments. It's in the description. Make sure you use the promo code. Join our live stream over on the Patreon tonight at 6 o'clock. And then Thursday, of course, we have our special live stream with Rue and Max over on the Patreon as well. Open mic Fridays and Saturday nights. I will be releasing another trading video over there today for our trading group. Do not miss out on any of our trades and so much more, guys. We've been absolutely crushing it in our trading group. Check it out today. Link again is down below in the description, in the pinned comments. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.